Hello there, Sorcerer from 17 once again. This is my overview of my time spent playing the Dark Souls 2 E3 demo. This is going to cover my second session with the game, my second 20-minute slice of Dark Souls 2 goodness, and this is probably the more exciting one outside of the boss fight. So, we queued again, and Heretic actually jumped the queue, because I queued for a while and then he came and joined me and my girlfriend and he managed to have a turn himself. And I had already fought the Mirror Knight, so I didn't want to do that this time, because I'd spent so much time fighting the Mirror Knight instead of playing the level. So what I decided to do is I decided to do everything but the Mirror Knight, just look around the stuff, check all the classes out, check all the moves out, test things, do things, experience things, and just have fun with this build. So the first thing I did is I picked the Sorcerers. Sat down, I think in the same seat I played before, and changed my sensitivity, changed camera, all that good stuff. And I was immediately thrown in as the Sorcerer, in all his crazy robes and his massive staff thing, and his crazy looking bone wheel-like shield. And I'm doing his moves because he starts with a weapon. He's got the staff and he's got I think it's a dagger of some sorts. I can't really remember too much. It was only yesterday, but I think all the adrenaline and the excitement, it's kind of, made me lose the details in my short-term memory, because it's kind of shit. As soon as a month passes, I'll have every detail stocked in my archive, but at the moment it's still kind of blurry. A little bit like if you've ever gone to a gig, and then when you come home, you can't remember it, but you know it was awesome. Kind of like that. Like, you can remember it, obviously, but you can't remember the details, you just remember it as an overall sum. That's what I mean. So, I mess with the spells, and the spells are crazy. Like, you can charge them. I did one too close to a wall and it hurt me. Like, I did this lightning thing, this one that rained bloody light down to the floor. I had a ton of spells, like ones that fired dark blobs that look like dark orb, but they're a little bit faster and not quite as long to wind up on them. Just tons of weird stuff. That one where he swings it like a sword and there's a big energy sword. Like, I didn't have a clue what I was bloody doing, but there was a ton of them. And I did all those. I did some rolling with him to see if he was any faster. And then I carried on down, went down the stairs again, went down the ladder, sorry. Couldn't slide down the ladder again. I actually did the slide animation, and if you've ever done, on a ladder and there's been somebody beneath you and you kind of do the slide into him and you hit him and you like lay your ass on the face, you do like teabagging. I did that, but I didn't go anywhere, so once again I was conquered by the logic of sliding down the ladder. I've probably spent over maybe 2,000 hours playing Dark Souls and I couldn't bloody bounce down this ladder. It was embarrassing but great at the same time. So I dropped down the ladder once more. And I was at the bottom, so I already know the enemy placements and things. So the first dude gets up and I use my spell on him and it's ridiculous and it hits him and it doesn't kill him because, the characters are kind of neutered on the demo. You don't feel strong at all. It's like it's an area further in the game where you're not supposed to be with the equipment that you have. And I'm beating him up, doing as best as I can, hitting him with spells and stuff, and he's more agile than that because he's not as armoured, and the spells are just wickedly powerful. And I get to the lit corridor. But before I get to the lit corridor, I try to parry with the shield, but the shield doesn't have a parry, and I didn't realise this before I tried, so I nearly get my ass slammed on the very first set of enemies because I'm trying to do a parry and there is no parry, and I'm getting stun locked, and stun locking is fierce, because the enemies are super aggressive, they swing really fast, they have combos that link into each other very fluidly, and they do have, a whole bunch of different moves like they do on Dark Souls, so you never really know what's coming. But survive that somehow, running away a little bit, popping a flask, which is so much slower than it used to be. And then I get to the well-lit room, so I go down there, kill those two guys on the left because I know they're coming, and I know that the Turtle Knight dude's going to be in front of me. So I look through my spells to see which one looks the manliest, and one of them, big lightning everywhere, that looks pretty manly, I'll use that one. So I walk up to him and I aggro him, and I use this spell. I'm at a really decent distance to him, it's a good 10 feet from him. And he puts the staff in the air, and he starts firing lightning, and it hits the guy spot on. It's crack, 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 lightning, 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 and it did like 400 damage. And the dude is tanking it because he wasn't flinching, but it was constant damage. It was like a fire surge of electricity. I felt like the Emperor. And the spell had finished, so I started backing up and I cast it again. And on the second cast, he had a sliver of life left, and because he was so close, I swapped to the weapon, I rolled away from his attack, and I hit him once and he died. Like, the Turtle Knight that had been destroying everybody on the booths, because he's a bastard, he's really strong, he can 1 to 2 shot you if you're really unlucky. He just got destroyed by that magic. I've never seen anything like it. And it was super, super powerful. So I pushed forward a little bit more, messing with the spells and stuff. I didn't really notice too much, because there wasn't all that much to notice, because I can't go into the menus. I did try charging them and things, but they were doing similar damage, and I couldn't really guess how many casts I had. I did pick up the red herb that replenishes it like a spice would, but not too much to say on the Sorcerer, except for spells are fast, powerful, and wicked good. I think magic is overpowered on Dark Souls until you take it into PvP, and then it's extremely limited unless you're very good with it. I think this is going to be super viable. It's fun. That's the main thing. Like, some of the magic on Dark Souls, it's all the same. Like, they're all, just random spear, random this, random that. They're very similar. They're just extensions of each other and increases and upgrades. They're very nominal stuff. But Dark Souls 2, it's got all sorts of weird things. And it's looking to be really fun to just mess with the spells. And that is one of the things I'm really looking forward to now that I couldn't give a shit about earlier. So that's a good thing. But I quit out of the game, and then I loaded up as the Temple Knight. And the first thing I noticed about this guy is he felt fast to me, even though I've heard from a lot of people that they were saying he felt slower, but I don't know why, but he felt more to my pace. He worked better for me, and I'm not too sure why. And also, he took a beating. Like, I got smacked by the first few hollow guys, and it did nowhere near the same damage it did as the other builds. And I don't know if his armor's better or what's happening, but he was tanking hits really well. Almost like he had better armor on or something. So I would probably say choose that guy if you want to have a tanky dude if you're playing this build, because he seemed to be much better than the warrior when it came to taking damage, much better than the sorcerer. But on paper or logically, it seems like he shouldn't, but he did. And he starts off with, he's got an axe, he's got a halberd, and he's got a really weird looking talisman that looks like a dude got kind of a TV remote and stuck a razor on it. And it's, ridiculously sized, but still kind of small. It's a strange looking catalyst, sorry, not talisman. No, talisman, it is a talisman, because it does miracles. And on his left hand, he doesn't have anything except the winged shield, which looks super cool. I'm a fan of his shield. He looks cool, his mask is cool, he's a cool dude. And one thing that is really difficult for me when I was playing the demo, it was a big element of the Mirror Knight fight was the 3 items on your left and right hands. It sounds brilliant, it sounds awesome, but it got in the way. It got big time in the way. And I think when I play the game, I'm probably going to be very picky on what I have in my hands, because I am on Dark Souls. Like, the notion of being able to use 3 weapons at once in something like PvP sounds like a really good idea, but how many times have you had to change weapons while an enemy's attacking you, or you're up against a dude who's being really aggressive, and you've literally felt every second it's taken you to change to the weapon you want, because it's that desperation mode of, I need to swap and it's not happening fast enough. Well, imagine that now, but having to cycle a whole nother time. And I really felt it. Like, I was getting chased by the Turtle Knight when I was playing as this dude. And I was trying to change back to my halberd because I'd hit it a few times with the axe, and the axe wasn't that strong against him. So I press it, thinking I'm going to get my halberd back. And he's got the damn talisman on. And I'm like, shit, I've got to do it again. And the thing's running at me, so I'm trying to keep cool. I dodge it, and then I'm swapping, and you just feel every second of it, and it feels like a vulnerability. And chances are I will probably not carry 3 weapons unless for a very specific reason. And it was same with the items that once again reared their ugly head in against the Mirror Knight. Because you can stock a ton of stuff in your hotbar, I'm the type of player that only has stuff in there that I need. I want to get to it fast, and I want to get to it when I want to get to it. I don't want to have to sort through 4 or 5 things, and in the time I'm sorting, I could be healing, or I could be using what I want to use, and that's time that I'm vulnerable because I'm trying to get to what I need. And it automatically put things in your inventory like it does in Dark Souls, so I was sifting through fucking all sorts to get to the stuff I wanted, and it was just extra tension because I didn't, it was against me at that moment in time. It was I really felt it, and it's another thing that's complete preference, you know. It's not bad design, it's just me personally. I have 1 or 2 things in my hotbar if I can help it, and then I remove everything so that I've only got the stuff I need. And I couldn't do this on the demo, and it really, you know, I was trying to get to healing items, and I had green blossoms, like red herb thing, like strange weed blue thing that I didn't use. So that's something that I noticed big time. But playing as the Temple Knight, I did all these moves once again. The halberd has got a wicked moveset. It looks super cool. A lot of people are going to love this weapon. I didn't notice that it was whiffing as much as it does in Dark Souls. It seems to be much faster. I don't know if they'll balance it, I don't know if they'll change it or tweak it, but the weapons are fast. The game is slower, but the weapons are faster. But the trade-off for the faster weapons seem to be more recovery on them, or I don't know. It's what I want to play it, man. I really do. There's too much to take in at that moment, but I tried my best. And from that moment, anyhow, messed with all his spells, did a few miracles. One of the miracles he kneels down, very much like replenishment. It's nowhere near as slow, though the miracles are quick too. Another one that he had, like he put up in the air and it did something. I wasn't too sure because I wasn't really going to use them. I just wanted to test them out. And one of them was replenishment, I noticed that, so I used it and I walked forward and I started fighting the first bunch of, you know, mobs. And I parried the first guy, but there was another guy with him, so I held back, you know, did some hits with the weapons. The weapons were fine. Like, they seemed a little bit underpowered, like you were going in there without your Drake Sword. And you weren't doing as much damage as you would like. And an example I used for Heretic when I was trying to explain it to him how I felt was, if you've ever taken an unupgraded weapon into Darkroot Forest earlier on and fought the trees, you can kill the trees if you know what you're doing, but you do no damage to them. They take like 6 or 7 hits, and if you go there with a weapon that's of that level, you can get them in 1 to 2 hits, and you notice those extra hits. And that's how I felt throughout the entire demo, just noticing those extra hits. Like, for instance, I had 2 hollows in front of me and I was using the axe, and the axe he does, it's nowhere near the hand axe. It's nothing like it animation wise. He kind of pivots his wrist and twirls it it's like a baton, the way he swings it. And I was hitting both the hollows at the same time with the hand axe, and I was stunning them, but not for long. And I think one of them got pushed out of my range, so I only hit the guy in front of me, so the second guy got to smack me. And it was a bit of annoying. But when there was only one dude left, I backed up, you know, I used my healing gem, and then I went back forward and I parried him, waited for him to go down, and I riposted. And the riposte was really good with the halberd. He like full on stabbed it in him like a Poseidon. It was so good. Just, you know, Poseidon with his trident, just ramming it down Ursula's throat. It was glorious. And I tried a parry, and then I swapped weapon, and I riposted with a different weapon because it's much slower now. It makes me wonder what online's going to be like, because there's already that latency there, so I'm hoping that the dedicated servers are going to help that. I also tried hitting them as they were waking up after the parry. Like, it seemed you could hit them on the wake up, but sometimes it didn't do anything. Something I haven't mentioned is the push. I pushed with every character, and they all seem to have a pretty similar one, and I was going to swear then, but there's no need to swear. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I was going to say I fucking hate it, but I think that's too much visceral content right there. It's too much vitriol and it's unneeded. It's not good. It's not good at all. It's long, it's animation heavy, and it misses. Like, he moves forward before he does it. It's really strange. And I never found it useful. I found it missed a whole bunch, and that's not what you want. Like, the kick is so useful. The push is so useful. It reminded me of, you know, when you're used to kicking and you've got a weapon that can't kick. So when you go to kick, you do that ridiculous animation and you're stunned. You're like, whoa, shit, what am I doing? I didn't want to do that. I forgot. It's like that, but nowhere near as useful as that. Like, he walks forward and then pushes, and the amount of times I walked past an enemy and pushed a wall was ridiculous, because I'm so used to kicking when they're coming towards me. Because it's what I do on Dark Souls, you know. I kick them, counter damage them, and then combo them. So I experimented a little bit with the kick. It didn't feel good because it wasn't a kick. It was a push, and it was a bad push at that. It was like a shield push, and it don't feel good. And who knows? It might be tweaked. It might be changed. I might come to love it. I might not understand it. But with my time on this demo, it didn't work for me. It was bad. But I experimented a lot with it, with wake ups and hits like that. And then I got down into where the Turtle Knight was. So I put my replenishment on and I started fighting him. I fought him man on man. And I was two-handing the halberd and using the axe and things and evading. And the roll is really difficult to use, guys. It's going to take some serious practice. And I don't know if in the main game you're going to get more iframes, if you level up a stat, or if certain rolls are going to be better than others, or how it's going to work. But several times with my time on this I keep saying beta. I didn't even get in the beta. I don't know why I'm saying beta. Several times throughout my time with this demo, I rolled which felt spot on for an evade, and I got hit. And I got hit big, because you don't get hit small on that version of the game. Everything hurts. Everything hurts a lot. And I was getting tagged a lot, and the Turtle Knight seemed to be the guy I had the most success evading. I don't know why. He's the guy who you would think would hit you the most, but he's so crafty. He's strong, he's got plenty of different combos, he's got his charge attack, you can't backstab him, he's got a lot of life. He's a pretty cool dude. And then I carried on through the demo after fighting him, and I wish you could have seen it, guys. I wish somebody recorded it, because you know when you're having that really good game, and you know you're having that really good game, so you become self-conscious of how good you feel like you're playing? It was that moment, but it was on this completely new game. I went up the ladder on the outside area, and you've seen a lot of pictures and videos of this, and if you've seen them, it has the dual-wielded guy, and there's a bunch of dudes in like lumberjack jackets with bandit knives, and they're all on the floor, and they stand up, and there's 3 or 4 of them. And I went up onto this roof, and I killed them all without taking any damage. And it was just cool. Like, the first guy went to swing at me. I rolled away from him. The guy was just to the side of me. I disengaged lock. I ran. I went behind him, and I did an unlocked, like, run around backstab. Like you would, you know, on the unlocked backstabs on Dark Souls. And I got him, knocked him down. His other friend was about to swing at me. You know, I rolled back, and then I did a jump attack, which looks ridiculous and takes really long on this game, and I don't think it's going to be that useful. And I hit him, and it stunned him, and then I comboed him, and it killed them both. And just in time, like, there was another guy walking towards me who just come off of camera. I turned around, I pressed parry, and I landed it. And it was just that super lucky but awesome moment of everything stringing together, where I'm doing backstabs, I'm killing dudes, I just landed a parry. It felt amazing, and I did that moment where you turn around, you know, to see if anybody else had seen this fucking awesomeness, and there was nobody there. It was so good. It was just the ultimate fail. Like, oh, nobody saw that. I thought that was good. And I was about to quit, but I went into a room I'd not been in, and there was a dude there, there was one guy, and bearing in mind, I'd just killed a roof full of enemies, and there was one guy in this room. So I went up to him, and I hit him, and I stunned him with my axe, and then I took damage. And the boxes next to me completely shattered. I don't know what did it, I don't know what was happening, but I took 70% HP damage. And I flinched, and as my character flinched, the enemy that I'd stunned recovered, and it killed me in one hit. And I scratched my head. I took the headphone off, my girlfriend was behind me, sat down, I reached over to her, I don't know if she was watching or if she was on her phone or what was happening, and I said, did you just see that then? Did I just get killed by mid-air? Like, by nothing? Because I don't understand why I took that damage. And it could have been a hit, it could have been someone off screen, I'm not entirely sure what it was, but Hobo will back me up here because he saw it too. I have no idea why I died. I understand the hit at the end, but the 70% life damage, no idea. Super baffling. But this was coming to the end of my time on my second session, so I put the dual wielder guy on, picked dual wielder. He had a dagger in his right hand and like a claymore-esque, you know, small greatsword in his other hand. His left hand, he had another dagger. It was like a prong dagger, a bit like a parrying dagger but longer, and he had a target shield which looked and parried just like a target shield. It did the same animation, which was cool, and it was faster. And this guy, he's weak because he's super spongy, but he's really fast, and he moves like a light build does in Dark Souls, but perhaps a little bit quicker. His roll is long and it's quick. He was my favourite character to play as because it felt, you know, like a game I could really enjoy, because I'm not a fan of the slow movement, it's not my thing. But I go down the stairs, you know, super confident, like, this guy feels awesome, and the first 2 hollows started stun locking me, and I was taking massive damage. I nearly died there. But I managed to back up, I managed to, you know, take them out with some of their attacks. I did a parry, landed a parry. It was all kind of different, but one thing I noticed is the dagger he has, or like the long sword or the short sword, and the big sword he has, they both have the same riposte. He twirls the sword a little bit, and then he stabs them through the heart when they're on the floor, which, it looked good, but I wanted it to be different. And then I carried on through. I had a really good fight with the Turtle Knight. I lured him out of the room, because if you'll notice, the room where you light the torch to go into the dark corridor, there's a flight of stairs that lead into that chamber. I lured him all the way out of that chamber, and I fought him in that room, and it was so much better to fight him there, because you can put the middle pillar between you and him, and he can hit you through the pillar, because this is Dark Souls, but he's nowhere near as good as closing the distance and hurting you. So I managed to space him, use my rolls, hit him and stuff, do jump attacks. Although, I have to say this, because I keep forgetting to mention it. This was on a PlayStation 3, and I believe that this is going to be the fully optimised version of Dark Souls 2. Much like Dark Souls 1, it's going to probably play the best on PS3. That being said, Dark Souls 1 does play better on PC, because there's no frame drops if you've got a good computer, or if you're a lucky person, it all depends. It played perfectly for me, it's a dream to play on there, it's just everything else is terrible. Like, all the mod stuff, all the PC support, 30 frames per second, low resolution, bad connectivity, all those kind of problems. But aside from performance on a good PC, everybody will agree that PlayStation 3 is the place to be for Dark Souls. It's the optimised version, and I think this will be the same. But I was using a PS3 pad, and it was all wired up so I couldn't steal it, but it was still quite comfortable to use. It wasn't obtrusive, but when I tried to do jump attacks, it didn't come out so much. I don't know if it's because of the shitty spongy triggers on that piece of shit pad. I don't know if it was the analog. I don't know if it was just a knackered pad because it had taken such a beating. It didn't feel knackered. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was human error, but a number of times I tried to do jump attacks and I did heavy attacks. And I know that it can do that in Dark Souls where you try to do a kick and he does just a normal attack, but I noticed it a lot. So maybe that was just that particular build, maybe it was the pad, maybe it was me, I'm not too sure. But if you're playing and you're noticing that, please let me know, because I definitely went for a few jump attacks and they did heavy attacks and I got punished for it, which was a bit of a shame. But I took out that big fat guy, and then I carried on, practicing parries and things, and then I got to the outside area where you cross the bridge, and there's the thin pathway with the archer and the dude who climbs down to get you, or comes out of the doorway, I forget which, and he had a spear, so I was wanting to test the parries on the spear with him, and I ran out of time, and the guy came over and tapped the desk just as I was about to try and do it, and no word of a lie here, guys, complete instinct, not wanting to be a dick, but probably sounding like a dick, I put my hand up and said, just 1 minute. And then I realised what I'd done, and I'm like, fuck this, that's just so rude. And then I took the headsets down, and I started getting beat up by the guy, and I put the pad down, and I left. But I wanted 1 more minute just to try and land another parry, just to see what it would have done against this guy, and that was the thesis of this demo, just 1 more minute, just one more thing. And there wasn't that much to see and do in it, it was quite a small demo, but at the same time, I could have spent hours. I could have spent 8 hours in it, and it's just, to sum up, it looks great. They're really pushing the power of these consoles because it's on its last part of the generation. It looks great, it feels great. The frame rate was solid except for when the Red Phantom spawned. When the Red Phantom spawned, if you moved your camera too quickly and there was other enemies in sight, the frame rate dipped. I saw it dip. I've been playing PC games recently, so I'm becoming really sensitive to frame rate, and I noticed it. But aside from that, it was flawless. The game looks great, it plays great. Didn't notice anything noticeable when it comes to music. Sound effects sounded a lot better than they do in the beta. I don't know why, they just sounded much crunchier and nicer and not quite as shit and placeholdery. It was great, but it's so different, guys. It's not Dark Souls at all, it's Dark Souls 2, and people need to take that mentality on when they play it. It's so very different while still being so very familiar. It's like a ghost of something you used to know so well, yet you're trying to play it the same, and it's not having any of it. And I can't wait to get my hands on this game and share my discoveries with each and every person that watches the channel, because it's going to be just something else. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.